First and foremost, the reason I am telling you to stop using generative AI to write content is because you are using generative AI the wrong way. Thus, this video is not meant to discourage you from using generative AI to write your blog or your content for your content writing. Rather, instead, it is meant to expose how you are using generative AI the wrong way when it comes to content writing and how you should use it the right way. And before we get started, I want you to understand that I want this video to be a kind of discussion, which goes to say that I'm not going to be stating points and explaining them one after the other as I do with my other videos. Rather, it is going to be a kind of interaction, but since you are not physically here with me, you will just have to sit down and then listen to how I explain how you are using generative AI the wrong way, and also after that show you how to use it the right way. Now, before we also go into this discussion, I also want you to understand that I run a couple of blogs. I run so many blogs, so many blogs, and I also run a lot of social media platforms. If you look here on YouTube, I own the I own the Takulia brand. You will see Takulia blog, Takulia entertainment, Takulia diary, etc. And also on blogging, I have a lot of. I also run the Takulia blog, ranging from takuliablog.com.ng, Takulia Designs, which is a web design agency online, the Takulia Entertainment, Takulia Records, Takulia Digital, Takulia Niger, etc. And my AI blogs are bizopai.com, bizop.com.ng, and using ai.com.ng. Now, I have other blogs I create content on. So you get to understand that I run a portfolio of both social media platforms and blogs. And for that, and what helps me to run all these platforms is nothing but AI. I am using AI for all my content writing. So without any further ado, having seen the evidence that I am running a portfolio of blogs and social platforms, and also I am using AI to do that. Let's get right into this discussion, starting with how you are using generative AI the wrong way. Now, you are using generative AI the wrong way because you tell generative AI to do everything for you right from the start to finish. For example, if you want to write a blog post on how to use generative AI, you just head on to the generative AI app, anyone you are using, whether ChatGPT, Google, Gemini. When you look on the types of AI, my video on the types of generative AI, you will understand how many of them we have, and new ones are coming up every day. Now, when you want to write a blog post on how to use generative AI, and you approach and you open the AI tool and type in, please write a content for me on how to use generative AI, what will happen is that the generative AI tool is going to pull content from what other people have written online about the subject, rephrase it, and then deliver to you. Most times, if you are telling generative AI to do this, you don't even instruct it on the word count you need, how many points you need, and all that. You don't show it the query. If you are writing a blog post, you don't tell it the query it should optimize the blog post for. You don't tell it the length of your blog post. You don't tell it the headings or give it the sections you want, and above all else, you don't give it your own human perspective. That is, you don't explain to the AI what experience you've had on that topic. Now, if you just go to the generative AI, as I said, and then type in how to use generative AI, it will pull from things people have already written, and for that reason, you are going to have a very thin and unoriginal content. And if you are doing blogging, Google has this EEAT they are using to rate blog posts. EE80 means experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Now, the expertise and experience means that you, as the blog writer, must write from your own human perspective, from the experience you have passed through or gone through on the subject you are writing about. So if you tell generative AI to write something for you without giving your own human input, your own human experience, it will just pull from anything it sees online on the topic and then deliver a very generative and robotic content to you. So simply, I want you to understand that the reason you should stop using generative AI for your blog post is because you are just giving the generative AI a title and asking it to generate a blog post for you. Now that you've understood the wrong way you are using generative AI, let's quickly go on to see how you should use it the right way. Now, the right way to use generative AI is to use what we call prompt. Now, prompt in AI use simply means instructions. That is how you are instructing or how you are telling the generative AI tool to write what the content that you want for you. Now, basically, you should start by telling the generative AI the title of your content. And if you are writing a blog post, for example, you must include the query and the answer to that query. Naturally, if I write my own blog post, I will give the generative AI the query and answer it before I give it to it. Okay, let's just pause for a while and let me bring my notebook to show you what I do or how I use generative AI. Let's pause for a while. I'll be back in a jiffy. So I'm back as I promised, and right here on my hand, if you see it, is an higher education notebook. And if I open it here for you, you will see my contents, the contents I write. These are my blog posts. You will see them. So what I do with generative AI and how I use it, the first thing I do, if you check here, is I write the title for the generative AI. You can see it. Now, after the title, I give the generative AI the queries I want it to answer for me on that topic. And after giving it the query, I move on to tell it to give my own human input. That is how I do or how the experience I have on this topic. And you will see it. That is always the last part of my notes. And you just see there are many on the different blocks I am running. So I first of all sit down, as you can see, to write what I know about the topic I want generative AI to write for me. And after I'm done with that, I will then take my phone, do a screenshot or a photo of the note, the particular page I want the AI to write for me, and I'll head on to the Google Gemini AI tool and upload the photo. Now, after uploading the photo, I will just not push it to the AI. I will also move on to give it the prompt of on how to write that blog post for me. I'll tell it the length I want, like 1,500 or 2,000 WordPress word count. I will also tell it how I want it to deliver the content for me. Normally, I always ask it to deliver for me on an HTML form. And the reason a HTML form that is in a container, and the reason why I always ask the AI tool to give me the content in a generative in HTML container is because it will enable it to insert the interlinks, the links I am having on that content. Okay, and so I remember again, the other thing I also give it is the links. I'll copy the links to my note and then copy them all at once and then paste. I'll show it which one is the pillar link. That the pillar link usually links upward, and I will show it the which one is the internet supporting articles link. Now, once my prompts are ready in my notes on the topic uploaded, I will now send it to the generative tool, and in within seconds it will finish the article for me. Now, even if the generative AI finishes the article for me, I don't just copy it and paste like that. The first thing I do is head on to my blog. When I copy copy it, the HTML file, head onto my blog. And when I go to my blog, what I do is to read, sit down to read the blog post. You don't even need to read it line by line. Just go through it and see the certain if the AI tool has made any mistake. Mistake can come through the interlinking. Sometimes the mistake comes through the AI, but usually if you are able to give it this kind of prompt, there are not much mistakes unless there is something you forgot to add in the prompt. So after I go down, edit my articles, if it sounds too generic, okay, you also tell it to write it in a simple English, avoid robotic tones and all that. Now, after the AI delivers the HTML and I copy it and I read it, everything is okay. Then I will head on to publish my post. So now that I've shown you practically how to use generative AI for writing your content. And as I promised you, I just paused the video to go and bring the notes because it was not here with me. You are finally seeing the right way to use generative AI to write your content. Please do not be in a haste to give generative. Most times what I discover is that you will have to give the generative AI a series of prompts. If it makes a mistake, you copy it back. Okay, I forgot to say it. If you read your content and there is a mistake you spot, you copy it back to the generative AI. Tell it adjust this, adjust that, edit this, edit that, because I don't always have that time to sit down and do the human editing. For example, if the English he is using is too robotic, from based on my overview, I'll copy it back to it and tell it to write everything in a simple English. So when you do like this, you finish, you will sit down to read it. Once everything I am okay or I am satisfied with the final draft, I will go ahead to publish it. Now, what I am going to do after this video is in my next video, I will show you specifically how to use generative AI to write your blog post. We will go practically into it and I will detail these things, all the my notes again for you. And after that one, I will go on, I will make another video and show you how to use generative AI to write your social media content. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that when those video drops, you will be able to have access to them. And finally, I hope you've learned from this video how or the best way to use generative AI to write your content. And as you have seen, this video was not meant to discourage you from using generative AI, but it was meant to tell you to stop using it the wrong way and use it the right way as I have shown you. Just stay connected with me, and in my next videos you will learn one thing after the other. Have a nice day.